Water, the fabric of life itself. Put simply, a chemical bond of two hydrogen atoms and one oxygen atom. H2O, a surprisingly simple formula for one of the greatest wonders of nature. Water has inestimable value. It brings sustenance and energy, health and growth. 2/3 of the human body is composed of water. Water is also a fuel for industry and a vital means of transport. Business and industry without water would be inconceivable. Water surrounds us and brings life, growth, and progress. But how much do we actually know about this precious fluid? We know that it falls from clouds in the sky. Part of it soaks into the earth. The rest gathers in streams and rivers. Water evaporates and becomes clouds once more. The clouds then form rain and so complete the eternal motion of the water cycle. The Bavarian forest and the catchment area of the Isar are both areas with heavy precipitation, up to 1,500 litres per square metre per year. However, although the Bavarian forest and the catchment area of the Isar lie directly side by side, what happens to this rainfall in these two areas couldn't be more different. In the catchment area of the Isar, water is abundant. The water-permeable limestone rubble bedrock positively sucks the rainwater up and stores it in enormous subterranean lakes. These lakes are simple to locate and could be easily exploited to supply water to the region. On the other side of the Danube, only kilometers away, the Bavarian forest suffers from water shortages. At first glance, this great deficit is hard to see. Rich forests with crystal clear streams and lakes stretch as far as the eye can see in the seemingly endless alpine landscape. Residents in this area know exactly how difficult it is to find drinking water here. They have always had to fight for this precious fluid. An underground view. Here in a granite mine in Fürstenstein in the Passau region shows the reason for the water shortage. Under a thin layer of topsoil and a layer of scree lies solid bedrock, granite or the somewhat softer slaty gneiss. These types of bedrock, typical to the region, are almost impermeable to water. The only way for water to reach the deeper levels is through one of the few cracks or clefts in the rock. Unlike other locations with a sand or scree layer, this hard bedrock is only capable of storing a small amount of water. This means that the water which falls as rain and sinks into the ground is channeled away through these cracks and clefts which run like gutters through the earth, only to come to the surface again much later in countless small springs. This extreme water shortage has been a problem for drinking water supply in the region for as long as people have lived there. But as they say, necessity is the mother of invention. And so, the residents of the region long ago developed a simple but ingenious method of water supply. Pipes were built to bring the precious liquid directly to individual courtyards or to so-called communal distributor stones. Fair play was, of course, an important factor. This form of water supply worked well for a long time. But through dry winters and hot summers, there were often periods of drought and water shortage. The residents had to make do with little or no fresh water for long periods of time. It was not only the residents who had to suffer through this dependence on natural resources. Tourism, trade and industry in the Bavarian forest were also heavily affected. Cities and communities continued their development. More and more tourists discovered the region as an attractive holiday spot. Above all, the locals wanted to finally be free from their dependence on the unreliable supply of natural water. A solution had to be found that was satisfactory for all concerned, to give the Bavarian forest the same opportunities for development as other regions in Bavaria. An important step towards economic growth was the fundamental renovation and modernization of the existing water supply infrastructure. For this purpose, on November the 28th, 1963, the 11 counties of Bogen, Degendorf, Grafenau, Kürzting, Passau, Regen, Vilshofen, Fichtach-Wegscheid, Wolfstein, Landau an der Isar, and the free city of Degendorf founded the Wasserversorgung Bayerischer Wald, or WBW, the water supply union for the Bavarian forest based in Degendorf. During the development period of this union, material and technical support was provided by the state of Bavaria. In 1967, it was finally time. The water pumping station in Moos went online, supplying water to the entire Bavarian forest. And with this, a dream came true. The residents of the region had access to fresh water all year, without influence from changing weather conditions. To supply the ever-increasing water requirements, a long-term solution was needed, and so the concept of a reservoir was born. A surface reservoir, created by damming two streams, should replace the subterranean lakes lacking in the region. Building work on the Frauenau Dam took 7 years, creating the largest reservoir in Bavaria. To process the collected water into drinking water, a water treatment plant was built in nearby Flannitz, the so-called Trinkwasseraufbereitungsanlage, or TWA. With the commissioning of these two facilities, the area of the WBW Union could once again be split into two supply zones. On one side of the Danube, cities and towns are supplied with water from the Frauenau reservoir. On the other side of the Danube, residents are supplied by the pumping station in Moos. So finally, a dependable source of water for everyone. The area supplied by the Frauenau reservoir is around 5,000 square meters in area. It contains 6 counties with around 80 cities and towns which are supplied with water by the WBW. In places supplemented by small wells and springs. The 2-kilometer-long, 600-meter-wide Frauenau reservoir is idyllically set in the rolling countryside of the Bavarian forest. The reservoir is primarily fed by 2 streams, the Kleine Regen and the Hirschbach. The 30 square kilometer water protection area contains a catchment area of the reservoir and is almost all within the national park of the Bavarian forest.